I'm Newt Bailey, and this is the Conflict Hotline. What you say next can change your world. I'll be hosting the show today, and we'll be focusing on the theme of empathy. Mickey Kashtan and Sigal Shoham are away this month. Joining me in the studio today as role players are two members of the BayNVC Empathy Team, Carol Wolfley and Leah Stotland. The theme of the show this month is empathy. So we'll be looking at what is empathy and what are the challenges people face when they try to respond empathically in difficult situations. We'll also have an interview with Judith Katz later in the show about the work of the BayNVC Connection Project. Now let's take a look at our first scenario, which we've called Endless Monologue. Carol will play Sandra, and Leah will play Sandra's neighbor, Arnold. Let's hear a little bit from Arnold right now.
Sandra, good to see you. I've been meaning to tell you this thing that happened to me the other day. I went to the post office, and there I was in line, and you know how the machines always break down. I just needed to buy some stamps, but the machines always break down. And then I'm in line, and you know they never have enough people up at the counter. And then there's this woman in front of me. She's got a little kid. Her little kid is just running everywhere and bumping into people. And
yes, I think I can see from Carol's face here, if I'm just stop time, that Carol's starting to feel a little overwhelmed and unsure how to respond to this. Is that true?
Yes.
And it's not the first time it's happened either, is it?
Right.
So does this sound familiar to anyone? A situation where you're really not quite sure why the person is saying what they're saying to you and why that is and how to respond to it. Later in the show, in a moment, we'll work with the situation and show you how we can bring greater connection and mutual understanding in a situation like this. Conflict Hotline is a live call-in program about the common challenges that we all face in our relationships at home and in the world, and what awareness and skills we can develop to face those situations more successfully. We're an all-volunteer effort with no budget. We're all affiliated with Bay Area Nonviolent Communication. Tonight, for technical reasons, we are not taking live calls, but you may email us at conflicthotline@baynvc.org with any conflict you have in your life. We may use it in a future show. Now let's see what happens when we bring some consciousness and skills to our opening scenario with Sandra and Arnold. I'm going to go back to Sandra for a moment here and just check in with you, Sandra.
Yes.
We've stopped time, and so what's happening for you as Arnold is saying these things about the post office?
I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable in my body, and I'm starting to want to leave. Yeah.
So you would love for this to be a more comfortable experience than it currently is. Is that true?
Yeah, I'd like to feel present in some way and engaged and like I'm part of the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the moment you're not having that sense of
No.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you if you're willing to try another question here, which is, what do you think might be happening for Arnold? Like, as the human being that he is, what's going on for him as he's telling you the story? What's he motivated by? How might he be feeling? What's your guess?
Well, I just first of all want to share that in this situation, Arnold would go on for 5 minutes without stopping.
Sure.
And after a while, I can kind of listen for a little bit, but as time continues to pass, I feel less and less connected, and I'm imagining that Arnold is somehow wanting me to know what's going on with him, and somehow that he's feeling like if I know everything that happened at the post office with him, that we'll have some kind of deeper connection, like I will see him and know him.
Right. So this is a very key thing for me. Very often when people are really wanting a sense of being known and really wanting a sense of connection, they will often use more and more words. And typically what I find is that the more words people use, often the less connection they get and the less understanding they get. Does this sound true for you?
Yes.
Yeah. So, having taken stock of the situation in this way that we've stopped time, imagine that you wanted to jump in, to interrupt, you could call it, to start speaking even though Arnold is still speaking. What might you want to say that would be something about what's going on for you, or perhaps asking, perhaps we want to start as we're focused on empathy, is what would it be to show empathy for Arnold right now? What might you want to ask him?
Yeah, it would be hard for me to just jump right into that because I'm noticing that for me, I'm feeling some resentment that Arnold isn't paying attention to me or thinking of me. So first, I need to just deal with my resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you're really wanting to be included in the conversation, to have a sense that you matter in this conversation, something like that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something you would love to achieve in this conversation, a sense of being included and a sense that you also mattered.
Yeah. It's hard for me to even be present for Arnold until I do that a little bit.
Yeah. So having named it right now for yourself, do you have any greater sense of possibility or willingness to inquire about what's going on for Arnold?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
You found it,
Yes.
you feel willing to stretch a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Arnold to just leap back in and continue, and we'll see what you're going to try.
Good.
Okay? So Arnold.
It's incredible the way people are in line and everywhere they go, and their kids run everywhere and they don't do anything about it, and we're stuck there standing in line. And what can you do? And of course, the people at the desk are so slow. You could lose your mind waiting there. And meanwhile, the people behind me, they're having this fight.
So
I have to listen to that.
Yes.
do you feel ready to jump? Or
I do.
You do. You're just choosing the moment.
I'm not quite sure how to jump.
Ah, okay. So how about this? Something like, Arnold, excuse me, I'd just like to jump in for a moment. Can I just ask you something?
Okay.
Can you try that?
Yes.
So they were fighting. I don't know what was up with them. I mean, people do these things in public.
Arnold?
I can't.
Excuse me. I just wanted to jump in for a moment, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot happened today at the post office for you. Is that right?
Oh yeah. I came out of there. I was in such a bad mood. I didn't know.
And it sounds like it was uncomfortable for you at the post office today.
I don't know if uncomfortable is exactly it. It was just like what you always get anyway.
Yeah, kind of frustrating.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I want to just stop time again here, just to give us a bit of a peek into Arnold's interior experience here. What happened for you at this moment when Sandra asked you this question? Was it uncomfortable, frustrating? How did that land for you?
Well, interesting. I actually wanted to go back to the first question when she jumped in, because that was kind of a wake-up.
Ah.
I actually sort of came back present.
You looked startled.
I was startled, but not
Yes.
upset. I was kind of surprised and didn't know what was coming next. But I think I realized in that moment that I hadn't been here, and suddenly I was.
So suddenly you felt more present,
Yeah.
maybe kind of more connected to yourself or more connected to what was happening?
Yeah, in a way that was a little frightening.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but I noticed that. And then when Sandra asked me if I was uncomfortable, yeah, it was definitely a new idea to think of it that way. It just gave me something to think about, and
You took a bit of a turn at that point.
yeah.
This is something which is notable for me, that very often when people are talking in this way, where you're having difficulty connecting with them, it's quite common that they're not particularly connected to themselves and they're not particularly present themselves. So although interruption is often judged as being rude, I find that often to interrupt in the way that Carol did is a service both to Sandra and also to Arnold. It's not interrupting just for oneself, it's interrupting in order to try and recreate connection. So I think we're going to take a break pretty soon, But I just want to check back in with you, Carol, about how this is all sitting with you, this possibility.
I noticed that I felt very relieved to hear you say that it was okay and it helped you to be more present. It was scary for me to do it, and it was scary for me to see the startled part, and what a relief that she was able to hear it and feel more present. It's a gift. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, so let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll be interviewing our special guest, internationally recognized peace activist and nonviolent change agent Judith Katz. During the break, you'll see a video from Edwin Rutsch featuring the NVC Empathy Team.